Okay, welcome to another third Thursday of the month live event hosted by Be Understood and today co-hosted by Acres of Diamonds founder Joe Wexler. Thank you for joining, and we promise you a really fun, informational webinar and event. And we are thinking that this might be a two-part event because we have so much value to offer you all. So the name of the event this week, as you signed up, you saw, but you will really see the value coming through soon, is Lead the Room. Present financials with executive presence and precision. So I'd like to start off by saying to a few of you, well, to all of you actually, have you ever been to a 3D movie and you take the glasses on and you put them off, take them off, and you put them on, you put them off, and it's clear and then it's blurry? Well, I'd like you all to get into the mindset today of while you're listening to the content, I also want you to listen excuse me, by mirroring and shadowing how Joseph and I are talking. What I'm talking about is pitch ranges when we take our voices up and we bring our voices down. That's the intonation. It's also about when we take a pause, maybe to add emphasis and impact to a statement, when we stress words to make those words impactful. So not only do I want you to listen to the content, I want you to listen to the way we are delivering it. We are not practicing the delivery. This is how natural American English speakers who have experience in public speaking will speak. So you'll get that added benefit. And thank you all for joining. So I'd like to start by saying that today we're combining elite level speech and communication strategies with what it takes to succeed in finance, leadership, and high stakes conversation. Joe and I are friends and affectionately call each other the finance geek and the speech geek. So today we're combining the speech geek and the finance geek to deliver a very valuable lesson for you to take away and use in your daily life and, of course, your work environment. So, folks, we are not talking about sounding nice. We're not talking about sounding mean either. It's about sounding credible, powerful, and unforgettable every time you speak. So just to clue you in there, I did pause before I said every time you speak. And that was to make it land better. So those are the kind of things I want you to look for throughout our presentation. So let me introduce you to my friend and co-host and co-promoter of this event, Joe Wexler. He's the founder of AOD Resource Group. He became a published author at 25 years old and sold his first business at 27 and is now on track to financially impact over 200,000 families. Joe's not just a strategist, he's a systems builder who knows how to turn ideas into results. Through AOD, which actually stands for Acres of Diamonds Resource Group, he's helped companies across 18 plus industries reduce their risk, increase retention, and layer smarter resources over existing systems. No vendor changes needed. Think about that. He once helped a CEO of a 450-person company in the real estate industry identify over 400,000 in overlooked expenses, redesign their benefits stack, and increase staff satisfaction by 12%, all in, guess what, a single quarter. Known for creating aha moments that stick, Joe's clarity has led to over 20 signature events per month, each bringing 5 to 7 influential people together for mutual benefit, not to cause follow-up meetings only, but panels and channels for impact. Please welcome Joe Wexler.
Thank you for that lovely introduction, Linda. You are incredible influence over my life over the last couple of months here, and it's absolutely a pleasure to be able to present alongside of you. So,
Thank you
um,
for being here.
yes. So I get the pleasure of introducing you. And so get ready for someone who doesn't just wait for permission to take off, she builds the runway. She's a licensed private pilot who earned her wings at 57, proving that bold dreams and disciplined mastery aren't bound by age. That intention fuels her work today, guiding professionals from around the world to speak with impact, clarity, and magnetic confidence. Linda isn't just a speech coach, she's sought after by university professors to Fortune 500 executives for her signature communication methods. She causes non-native English speakers to stop second guessing themselves and to start owning the room without compromising their cultural identity. Accents? She doesn't correct them, she elevates them. She brings clarity, confidence, and natural fluency to their voice, so it's impossible to overlook their leadership. Known nationally for her sharp strategy, warm intuition, and yes, pilot level focus. She's the founder of Be Understood and the woman you want to be in your corner. When you need your voice to really matter, please welcome the unstoppable Linda.
Oh my gosh, I've never been introduced like that, Joseph. Thank you. Oh my gosh, thanks for sneaking that in, Joe. Well, we're gonna start. Oh, thank you, folks. We're gonna start with Joe actually making numbers speak so decision makers listen. Now, remember, Joe is a financial coach and actively works in the finance field. So he will really change the way you look at things, and I will hopefully bring in that, well, I definitely will bring in that impact that you can change the world around you, increasing your levels of mastery in everything you do. So take it away, Joe.
Awesome. Well, I wanted to start off today with clarity. And I know that that's going to be one of the topics that we're focusing on, and really starting to notice how much time we spend getting clear. And not just us, but our team, right? And is it getting us to the results that we want? Because really, if we're focusing on how we present and how we show up with others, one of the best places to practice is with ourselves. And I'll start off with saying that in 2010, I was a new advisor. I had the activity it took to succeed. I had brought home $80,000 my first year on 360,000 of revenue I had created. But when you actually step back and you look at that captured value, it was only 22% of that I took home with me. And why? I was still unsure. I hesitated. My skills didn't match and they weren't aligned with my values. My value and my values had not yet aligned together. So my ability to capture that value in the market was limited. I now know, honestly, a lot because of you, Linda, how to be better understood. And that in creating this talk, that there's a soft skill that has a hard impact to it, and that's clarity, right? It's missing from boardrooms, it's not taught in classrooms, and it's never too late to participate and acquire. So I'm going to invite everyone who's on this call to come on a journey with Linda and I over the next 40 minutes to really think about the cost of not having this skill, clarity, and the skills that we can provide to you as a guide. I will say that Linda has become an expert guide for me to take quiet rooms into captivated rooms. And I would love to pass the mic back over to you, Linda, to share how to demonstrate how clarity can become authority.
Well, thank you, Joe. I actually have thought a lot about this as a person with a master's degree in speech and language pathology. Clarity was always, how does the person speak? And now I realize that clarity isn't just about how they speak, it's about what they say. And so, is your message clear? And are you saying it clearly? So we can look at clarity from two perspectives. And I think both, combining both of them, is what combines to make you successful and masterful.
Hmm.
Speak a little bit about speaking with authority and not anxiety. I've heard this over and over again, folks, that I had a stand-up meeting and oh my gosh, I didn't know what to say. I couldn't find the words. Wasn't clear. I wasn't loud enough. And just total um freak out moment for people. And I just want you to let that land for a second. Has that ever happened to you? Well, this isn't about someone's ego. This is about impact. Because when your voice doesn't land, your value doesn't either. Let me tell you about Marvin. That's actually his real name, but I'm not giving you his last name. I met him when he was a graduate student at Columbia. He was a brilliant kid, and met him. Then he went back to China for the summer, and I lost track of him when he came back to the States. And about 2 years after that, he called me and said, Linda, I need help. I'm in stand-ups every Tuesday. I have to give all this information about, he was working for a mergers and acquisitions company. He said, I have to give all this research and information and consolidate it and make it be heard so people want to take my deal and move it forward. And he said, and I'm not feeling confident. Please help me. And so I worked with him one-on-one, and within weeks, he actually called me up to say, people are noticing the difference in my voice. And I have to tell you that, my part of my business in sounding clearer and more confident is often a subjective, not objective business, but to hear that from other people. And he would also call me up and say, Linda, I'm not sure how to create small talk in the lunchroom. Like, what do I say? How do I act? I mean, we worked on all those, quote, soft skills. He's now the vice president of the company that he's at. It's a small M&A firm in North Jersey, and he's doing marvelously, owns 2 restaurants, et cetera, et cetera. So Marvin and I still stay in touch. But I just wanted that to hopefully connect with some of you. And it wasn't about Marvin just talking louder. It was about him strategically speaking with those pauses, the stressing, with intention and proper intonation, his clarity and his certainty. So remember, authority doesn't come from volume. It comes from vocal certainty. Now, what does that mean? It means choosing words that land, choosing words that hit right, using your pitch. And you'll see me do this when I want to go up in pitch and this when I want to go down in pitch. So use that as another, use that as another little cue, but using the right pitch and pace. Those are powerful tools. Pausing, not because you're unsure, but because you're in control. So pausing can be used and served in different ways. And pausing, one way could be a way to capture what you're going to say next. That helps many non-native English speakers because sometimes they're still searching for the right words. It avoids more of those little pesky filler words, whatever. So you have to get comfortable with that silence.
Hmm.
But pausing can also land impact. It's like it's the this in a movie, it's like the pre-scene before something big happens. Like you say something, you pause and then land something. And it could be as simple as saying, guess what? Pause. I got the job. Okay. So it's not, guess what? I got the job, right? It's guess what? Now people are leaning in at this point. They're like, what? What? I got the job. Okay, so those are a few examples. Let me think. Let's see. Does anybody here want to share? This is a very open, safe space. Does anybody want to share here a moment when your voice did or did not land?
Hmm.
What was the best time it landed? What was the worst time it landed? Did you forget, English, for instance, and you were completely confusing or adding some of your native words in with your English message. Does anybody want to unmute? You all
I
have been permuted.
I also would love to share too, if while somebody unmutes and finds that unmute button, please drop in the chat. Let us know, like on a scale from 1 to 10, how clear do you feel like you are right now? How comfortable do you feel like you are? One being, I'll share quickly, Linda, to kick it off. I may have been one of the shyest boys in middle school, first through eighth grade. My face would turn red when the teacher would call my name, right? So I had to learn how to own my space. So on a scale from Joe Wexler in first grade, second grade through eighth grade to where I am today, really owning the room and stepping into it. Drop in the chat, where are you in this journey from 1 to 10, and let's see if we can bump that up a few notches throughout this talk. So, do we have
And
any volunteers to share any stories here?
and no surprise to you, I was one of the talkative ones, Joe.
There we go. Jordan.
Jordan, hey, aloha. I would love to share first and foremost, thank you both for being here. Thank you for putting this on. This is a wonderful experience already. Linda, oh my gosh, I love listening to you speak. It is so wonderful and elegant. And I love the concept of pauses. That is, oh, it's just, I mean, I know it being a communications guy myself. Like, I know it, but then I don't utilize it all the time, especially when it comes to uncertainty. And during that uncertainty reduction, that's where I recognize that's where the power comes in. So if I can reduce that uncertainty before entering a conversation, then all of a sudden I'm able to enter it like a bull. Instead of just being a little sheep, I can be a bull. And and a bull that also recognizes and feels the energies in the room. And I think that being with you guys and being with our groups of individuals that we're with and being around Joe Wexler himself and individuals that, like, the high tide raises all ships, individuals that help us recognize our power and step into it. That's what's been beautiful and elegant. And I've never had a problem speaking, as you can probably, if you can or cannot tell, but it's about honing in on that skill and being able to recognize, just like any type of skill development, building the myelin sheath around that to help reinforce and insulate our powers. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you, Jordan. That was really impactful. And I am going to put someone on the spot here. Dr. Sarab, author and public speaker from Mumbai and a friend of mine. His goal is to reach 1 million men and help them with their anger and help them lead a better life. Dr. Sarab, can you step in?
Hi, Linda. How are you?
I'm so
I'm
happy to see
actually
you here.
I'm actually outside and there's too much loud music around me. So I don't know
Oh,
if you can hear me right.
I can.
Oh, great, great, great.
So
So,
tell us what this means to you as far as impact and how you speak with the pausing. I mean, you're a Toastmasters master and a public speaker, and you're reaching so many people and in their lives. Tell us how what this means to you.
well, impact is actually important, and it means a lot. Being a professional speaker, speaking on various stages to various audiences across the world, it's equally important to have an impact. And not only impact, as you rightly said, it's equally important to have the right tonality, the right body language. Your body language actually shows what you mean, the impact that it generates on your audience. So it means a lot. In fact, I've been noticing. I've been visiting a lot of conferences around the world. I've been speaking to a lot of speakers. I've been noticing how they speak. I have to tell you, most of the speakers focus more on their tonality, their impact, their body language, and also their gestures and gestures. So it's very important. And I'm very sure that what work, Linda, you're doing here to educate people is something really amazing.
Hmm.
Well, thank you, Sarab. And Sarab is also a recently published author, Dr. Sarab. So if you want to drop the name of your book in the chat and make it available for other people, we'd be honored to have
Sure,
that.
sure.
So,
Definitely, I will do that. Yeah.
and congratulations on that accomplishment.
So much.
So, Linda, if I'm hearing you right, if I'm hearing Dr. Sarab right, if I'm hearing Jordan right, this is what I am hearing, and this is a great way for us to practice as well. Um, Everything that we're talking about today. It helps to use body language, right? You're using a lot of body language with the way that you talk. I definitely am a little bit more flat when it comes to presenting. How important it is for us to align not only what's said, but have it congruently showing up with our intonation and our pitch and even our emotions, right? That's what Dr. Sarab is helping people out with. Um, is that correct? Am I hearing you
Absolutely. Oh,
perfectly?
look,
Okay.
and that was wrong. I shouldn't have said absolutely, because if I say absolutely, I'm shaking my head no, and that's incongruent with what I'm saying. Absolutely
Absolutely.
is so I actually did that on purpose, okay? When I said absolutely, that's not in alignment with the
Mm,
words, right? I shook my head no. So it's absolutely, Joseph, you are spot on. You are hearing me right.
awesome.
But we are talking about delivery, but we also are talking about finance. And I
That's right.
want Joe to spread some wonderful
Hmm.
information on how to present to your superiors or to if you're client facing and how to get more business. So now for those who are not in finance, you will still find so many valuable takeaways. And we're going to go between the two of us and talking in this area. But I promised you a financial and communications webinar, and here it is, folks. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
So take it away, Joe.
So
I love
the good news here is that we all have to be CFOs, right? At some point, we have to control and understand money, how it flows into us, how to speak into the value that we bring to the table. And so as we're diving into this, I'm actually going to start from just our own personal experience with finance, and then I'll move into team dynamics around finance, and then finally, if we get to it, we'll talk about how to explore that in the boardroom. But we're absolutely going to come back in a month from now to get into some part twos here. So the reason why we start with ourselves is because that's what we have the most control over training and practicing and developing from a clarity standpoint. So I want everybody to think about what they need to get clear about in regards to finance. What areas are you not focused on, or do you need to get better clarity around what's unclear? And just think about matching those value systems that you have to the values that you have in place. So making sure that your value and your values align. And I have a diagnostic tip number one, which is something that I run through AOD Resource Group and all of our members. Um, it's a value index survey. So what this provides, it's a spring cleaning for your own database, everything that's in your head. And there's so much that we have in our head on a day-to-day basis. So we want to make sure that the numbers in our head match up with what we're trying to accomplish. So think about everything that you're seeking right now. Get out a piece of paper, get out your phone, get out your notepad on your computer, and just think about the things that you need to unlock this week or this month. By the time that we get back, commit to something that will create momentous engagement and unlock everything for you. Think about what it'll provide, the peace, the profit, the certainty. Again, to circle around why we're starting with ourselves is when we're interacting with our team members, when we're interacting with the general public, they're having the same issues. And if we don't start with the person that's sitting across the table from us, then the data, the decisions that they may need to make for their business or for their families will go unheard. We need to hear and see them first. Um, So just as a tip from me to you, I want to provide a definition of a word, Linda, that you had not heard of until today, which is pronoia. And so I would love for somebody to come off mute. If there's anybody here, I didn't know that this word existed. I was in AP English, which here in America is the most advanced course that you could take in high school. And I did not learn this word until about a year and a half ago. Is there anybody who knows the definition to this word? Feel free to come off chat. And if you don't feel bad. Awesome. That's what I thought. I don't think anybody knows this word, but it's the opposite of paranoia. So if I ask somebody to come off chat and say what paranoia is, I'm sure that there would be somebody who would come off mute immediately and would share that paranoia is the definition of the universe acting against us. Pronoia is the exact opposite. It's the universe being in line with us and conspiring, right? Breathing with us and moving us in the right direction that we want to move forward in. So if there's one thing I want to leave here with you is that being in the mindset of pronoia can be so helpful to us in the way that we engage with clarity. Because even when things are overwhelming, we might see them as overabundant, and we may be able to step into them with a lot more care and attention, especially when it comes to finance, because we know, Linda, that money causes stress. And
Oh
so we
my
need to
God.
be able to take that out of our head, put it onto paper, and then finally, as a last step here, see how it matches up with your calendar and then also with your savings account, because it's the easiest way to see if we're aligning how we're spending our money through our bank account, our time through our calendar, and whether it's actually producing the results that we want to produce, or there are a bunch of to-dos in our head that need to get on our calendar and our bank account needs a little bit of cleaning up.
So, Joseph, I'm hearing you say that do an analysis about yourself, but we have professionals here that are doing analyses for other people. So, I understand the central idea here is to know your numbers, but what would you say for the people who are trying to grow their money, time, and success with in their financial careers? And what would you say to them
Yes.
to do next after they know that they're in alignment?
Awesome. So this gets at the core of clarity, right? That clarity is a muscle, and it's a muscle that's worth training, right? It's not optional. Confidence also is a skill that can be trained. And what if, Linda, consistency is just measuring our activities? So when we're moving from our own head to now communicating with a team or communicating a sales idea in the boardroom, we're really just taking the training that we've been doing all along inside of this brain on our own topics. And now we're thinking about, let me put myself in Linda's shoes and see what's valuable to Linda. And the secret sauce is money, energy, and time are really a core component of every single business decision that we make. So if we're able to look at the data sets that we have and the numbers we have, we can really practice this, and it literally pays to do.
Wow. Yeah, I kind of ignore my taxes and checkbook a lot with it just scares me. I don't know. So just being honest there.
And the
Well,
and the and the honest truth is, Linda, that's the reason why I exist, right? That's
right,
the reason why we have different professionals.
right.
If you had asked me 5 years ago to step onto the stage and have a conversation with you, I would have needed your help, and I really would have been holding your hand tight. So, um,
Well,
so what I want people to do is really own their voice and think about the last time it landed with value. Because when you're in that room and you're speaking to your team or you're speaking to a client, what matters most is owning that room. And what I like to say is that the Linda who's presenting today, on a scale from 1 to 10, wherever it is, maybe next year it's even better. And so you want to name that new Linda that you're going to step into, name that new Joe Wexler, This way you can really stand up and own your space and deliver with confidence and clarity. And the last thing that I'll share here is you wouldn't water down a 500 bottle of wine. So why do that with your message? Be brief, like Jordan mentioned before, because that brings gravity. Let your words land in silence. And so I want to pass it back along to you, Linda, to take us into the next step here.
Excellent, Joseph. And yes, you found out a little bit more about me today, that I hate tax time. Um, so I'm going to talk about the executive presence, even if English is not your first language. So you don't need fancy words. You don't just to sound powerful. You need certainty in your voice. And I know Dr. Sarab knows that very well. So use short, direct sentences. Okay, short, direct sentences. Land your final word and sound. Now, I'm going to get into my speech geekiness a little bit here, but American English is a stress time language, and we actually speak in phrases, and we drop off our final consonants a lot in the middle of a phrase. So for my East Asian friends and clients that are here, they actually say each and every word, pronouncing that final consonant hard, right? And no. So what we want to do is use this phrase. It makes it sound more natural. And the last consonant in a phrase, if this is not making sense, I will reword it. That is the consonant you want to hit hard on. So if a T, which American English often reduces to a D sounding, like water bottle, I want a water bottle, okay? But if you were saying it in a phrase, which is the fluent way of using your voice, you would actually want to say that final consonant louder, sharper, clearer. So when I say land your final word and sound, I don't want you to land your final consonant sound at each and every word along the way, or you will sound non-fluent or monotone or choppy, and it's not engaging. So that is a message for my East Asian clients. Thank you so much for hearing that again from me. Also, hold your eye contact with that client or coworker or boss for that extra second or extra just minute second. That actually shows connection and actually shows confidence. And as Dr. Sarab knows, and I'm sorry I keep bringing you up, but we worked together for a while now, and it's coming down in pitch at the end of a sentence. If you rise your tone at the end of a sentence, you sound less confident. So if I'm saying, what time would you like dinner? What time would you like dinner? It's like, I don't know, very, just not confident. But how about what time would you like dinner? So it's a question, but it's actually coming down on pitch, and you sound confident when you're saying it. In the business world, this is really important, folks, okay? Just come down in pitch at the end of a sentence, even if it is a question. We can go into that later. There are some nuances there, but for the most part, come down at the end of your sentence. You will always sound more confident. And this is where in the beginning I said, like putting on that pair of 3D eyeglasses, you're turning on your ears. You should be hearing me come down at the end of most of my sentences. Okay, a couple of more things. The person who controls the pace actually controls the room. So pause after key points, which we've brought up before. Let your words be heard. That pause will let your words land and actually be understood. Make people wait and want to hear your next thought. That goes back in with the pausing. It's not hesitation, so don't look at it as a hesitation, which makes you sound uncomfortable or not confident. It's actually leadership because you're controlling the pace of the room. I hope that's a clear concept to you all because it's very important. And I want you to sound like the most confident version of you in English. So even if English is not your first language, make yourself sound like the most confident version of you without feeling bad that it isn't perfect. It doesn't need to be perfect. It shouldn't be perfect. English is not your first language, but there are things you can do like coming down in pitch at the end of a sentence when you're presenting, say, to a potential client. You're pitching a financial plan for them. If you end in an upward sound, it's going to come across to the person as you're not confident. So watch that last sound and practice it during the week when you're ordering coffee, when you're just interacting with people. Come down in pitch at the end of your sentence. So you're bringing energy, not apologies. Oh, I also want you to play with the rhythm. So sometimes I could speak faster, and sometimes I could get into my heart and speak a little bit more calmly and softer. And so play with your energies, because guess what? It makes it more interesting to listen to, and people will lean into the conversation better. Because executive presence isn't about blending in, it's about standing out and being unforgettable. I hope that helps. So, Joe, I think you have a story to tell.
Yeah.
And Christian, if you could bring up that estimated cost per quarter slide, that would be great. So Joe has a story to tell you here, getting back strongly into the financial aspect of this as we do blend with clarity in words, as Joe is saying, and clarity in the way you say it, which I'm talking about.
Yes. So I wanted to spend a moment here because when things go unheard and we're not pacing our words and we're not controlling the pace of the room and having people lean in to listen to what we have to say, there's confusion. And confusion actually has a cost to it. There's a cost to non-confidence within our team. And so what we're looking at right now is the actual projected cost per quarter of teams not communicating with one another. So you can imagine this is 20 employees, but I was giving Linda the example earlier. Imagine my team at AOD Resource Group of 5 and her team of 5. And if we went to my alma mater and we start to work with them, and they have a team of 5, and then we bring in another professional, maybe Naomi, who's on this call, and she has a team of 5. Think of how much cost there can be when there's not clarity, when there's not confusion. So here we're framing 20 employees being a little not confident or a little confused and spending 3 hours a week redoing unclear presentations. That ends up being 60 hours a week, and that could result moderately in $1.72 million of lost productivity every quarter. And so Linda was like, whoa, that seems like a lot of money to be going out the window. But if we start to break it down, there's direct time wasted, which is somebody's salary being used up redoing things. But there's also missed revenue. So think about the top producer who really should be out there focusing on new deals, focusing on new sales, bringing that in. If they're not clear and things have to be redone in the background, there could be really big consequences to that. Anywhere from 750 to $1.5 million in lost revenue or conversions. And then lastly is morale and turnover, which we were talking about. Um, Teammates get frustrated when things aren't clear, when they're not communicated clearly, and for good reason, because we should be taking the time to engage people. And I had the privilege of watching Linda prepare for a lot of this with her team, and she does an excellent job of communicating in a way that allows the team to come in around her and get things done seamlessly with her as she's preparing and they're preparing um, in a way that's truly sports related, where we can go out and we can all wear the same jersey and feel really proud of the end result. So Linda, kudos to you and your team. You're doing it the right way. But I wanted to highlight the cost. Why? Because it comes back to that training. It comes back to why is this important? Why is it important for us to disrupt the patterns, not only of ourselves, but our team members, so that we can then get into the boardrooms and have the impact that we're looking to have with the clients that we're serving. And we have to disrupt their patterns.
Yeah, Joseph, just one quick thought
Please.
here. I'm going to humbly say this because I don't want anybody to think, really, Linda, you didn't think about that before? But I've thought of time wasted. But what I wasn't really focusing on, that time wasted is costing me missed opportunities to reach out to new clients, to reach out to new ecosystem partners, to get more revenue. Like I was equating it with, oh gosh, that was a waste of time, that was a waste of money,
Mm.
but I wasn't bringing in, oh my gosh, that time, if that was done right, I could have been doing this, and this. So that is really, really huge for me. And I'm sorry, you were just mentioning the term
Yeah, we
disruption.
were talking about disrupting patterns.
Okay.
And I know one of the things in prepping for this talk, you're like, I don't want people to think disruptive can be such a negative term. And so what I wanted to highlight with this is that yes and no, right? Think about a train and the train tracks that a train is on. If those trains were headed off a cliff, wouldn't you want to disrupt that train to make sure it's not going in that direction? We need to be able to communicate into the numbers that we have and the insights that we've collected for our client to help them understand when the train might be going off of a cliff or to send it in a better direction that better serves. And even your aha moment just now, Linda, is an example of that disruption, right? We disrupted your thoughts around how important your time is because you need to be out there finding the next speaking engagement, finding the next clients, and your team has learned from you because you're an excellent communicator. Also, when you step into rooms and boardrooms, now you really understand the value of what you provide, and you might be able to add a zero or two zeros onto the work that you do because it really can be a good disruption
Okay,
to the
so
organization.
yeah, so everybody, the takeaway there is I think that disruption, to me, I think of chaos, okay? But disruption can be done in a fun way to get someone. So say you're presenting to a potential client who's going to put all their money and invest with you. If they're looking like, oh, I'm not really sure, I don't trust you, whatever. I mean, if you can disrupt that train of thought with something fun or aspirational, then maybe, just maybe, you get them onto your side and you make that sale or commitment, or at least nurture your potential clients. So yes, disruption can be good, can be negative, but it can really be good in the business world, and especially if something is, quote, going off the tracks, which is an American idiom. By the way, if people didn't know that, if something's going off the tracks, it means that's going in the wrong direction. So thank
Linda,
you.
can I offer a quick pro tip as well?
Yes, please.
Um, so when you're presenting to someone, oftentimes we'll try and get the presentation perfect. We'll try and get the data and the numbers perfect, but we haven't yet stopped to make sure that it's a problem that the client wants to solve. And so in your example about that moment in every conversation with the client, we need to make sure that the concepts are understood prior to jumping into the data because the data doesn't necessarily matter if the concept isn't understood. And then alternatively, if the concept is understood, oftentimes the data doesn't matter either. It's not to say that you show up unprepared, but people will say yes. They'll say, I don't need to see everything here. I don't love numbers. I'm literally speaking to you so I could get this off of my plate and I can focus on the big deals that I have coming up. So I want to just encourage everyone to discuss early and often the concepts first because people don't necessarily need to know every single little thing that you know. They need to understand the concepts of the value that you're going to drive for them. And so you could use this as like a model. If we were to, this would provide, and what would you be willing to spend to solve this problem? So it's a three-part framework that helps you analyze the thing that you're about to do, what they believe and you believe it would provide to them, and then asking them what they'd be willing to spend in order to solve that problem. And that can be done before any data is collected or created, but you identify the problem before solving it.
Absolutely. Beautifully said. And I was talking to a client recently who said it takes her 20 hours to prepare for a meeting with a
Mm.
client. And what if that client just isn't in the right headspace? Okay, if that is a slang word, but isn't in the right frame of mind of receiving, what this culmination of 20 hours of research done. Would you suggest people have like, a short, a medium, and a longer presentation that they can adapt to a person who, so that they can pivot? What do you think of that?
Yes, and yes.
Okay.
When we
Okay.
prepare data, we need to think about the fact that everyone is living busy lives and they might have heard from 10 coaches before and they have a line of 10 coaches afterwards. So we need to be able to truncate, right, to reduce and distill down, but keep the power of the message that we're providing here. And I know that we're coming up on time, Linda, which is the reason why we created a part two to this series.
Yes.
So what I
Yeah.
would love to do is maybe just help people understand modeling this message before you teach it, which
Okay.
is the idea that clarity can be trained and confidence can also be trained. But before we master it ourselves, we can't really distill it to other people.
Right.
Um, you've mastered confidence. I'm soaking it up today, right? Like we reflect the confidence. If you had shown up and you were not as calm and collected and cool as you are, I might not be that way, right? Because we reflect what we are. So we actually are collectively getting together, and we'll talk about this in a second, to offer a sprint or a clarity clinic for individuals here who are interested in being in a room from 5 to 7 people in order to drive forward and really practice some of these ideas in a group setting, both on presenting in the boardroom, which I would be focusing on, and the communication tactics that you provide, Linda. Because right now we know that unclear communication might be our biggest hidden cost. It's what we just covered. And so being able to correct it ourselves is not only going to have an impact on us, but our team and on our clients. Um, so I'll pass it over to you.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you think
yes,
I have a minute for one or two practice lines?
100%.
Yeah. Okay, team.
And this
So
is kind of an example of what we'll be getting into with the work that we're offering with this sprint call.
yeah, Christian, can you put up the 5 sentences? But okay, so we're only going to do one or two of these, and then if someone would like to jump in and try one, this is like this is a financial sentence, and it is showing you where you could pause or put stress in a word. Now, what I've chosen to do might not be what you choose to do, but what you need to do is make it your own, but you need to include these. So I'm going to read this very flat without the word pause and stress. I'm going to read right through that. And this one would be, we will be discussing annuities and other investment vehicles during tomorrow's meeting. Boy, did that sound boring or did that sound captivating and exciting? So now let me read it, if I can, with where I put the word pause and stress. So we will be discussing annuities and other investment vehicles during tomorrow's meeting. Did you hear that? Let me do it one more time. And if you see my little note on the bottom, annuities, investment, and vehicles was what I chose to stress here. I paused after discussing, and I came up with calm authority to build confidence and a drop at the end. I'm going to read it one more time. We will be discussing annuities and other investment vehicles during tomorrow's meeting. So I'm trying to bring this all together in finance using all of these communication tactics. We do have a PDF that you can pick up, and we have 5 of these different, I think 3 or 5. But does anybody want to try one? I mean, please feel free if you want to try it. I mean, we're here to coach, to help. Would anybody like to try one? Any volunteers? Okay, let's just show the second one, and I will read it. Christian, thank you. Just to show people and let it sink in, okay? So during periods of volatility, I actually didn't read that right. I didn't stress it enough. During periods of volatility, that was a stress and a pause, our approach will always prioritize capital preservation. Okay? Capital preservation. So I stressed capital preservation. I came down at the end of the sentence. Do you hear that pitch range? That's what we're talking about. Getting your voice heard and better out there and connecting better to the people that you're working with. So I hope that you like that example. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Yeah, I got a heart. Okay, very cool. And yes, so because we are running late on time. So I do offer a 30-minute free consultation. I know some of you have availed yourself to that, and where it's a screening where we just talk about, what you're doing great and what you could do better and how we might align to help you in the future. Joseph has a How Wednesday that he runs every Wednesday. It's free and it's at 2:00 in the afternoon. The links are all here, where it's like, how are you doing things? And it's just a great group call, a great resource. I also have a short speech assessment that you can take, and the results will get sent to me, and I can get in touch with you with the full results. The results will go to you. And what else did we have there, Chris or Joe? Tell me. Oh, we had the sprint alignment, this little sprint afterwards. Okay. We are trying out this wonderful 5 to 7 person group of a 4-week sprint where you would listen to Joseph one week and me the next week, and we would be helping you on what you need help with directly. 4 weeks long. The first person to sign up for a consult with either Joe for his resource alignment, which is also listed here, or me, we will give it to you for free, the 4 weeks, once a week for half an hour. And the group will be limited to 5 to 7 people. And after the first 2 people get it free, then we are offering that for only $50 a person. And Joseph, if you want to finish up with anything you missed, please do.
So that's absolutely correct. The value of this is tremendous. Real sessions, live feedback with high performing professionals who aren't going to let you shrink, and we're going to encourage you to grow and take up more space. We'll capstone that with a little graduation ceremony next month, where we'll focus on kind of the next elements of presenting with confidence, which is really what do we do in moments where there's pressure? And also, what do we do in moments where we present and we think that we were clear and the person sits back and goes, so what? Is this really a problem that's worth solving here? And Linda, I couldn't be more grateful to have the privilege of sharing the stage with you, to be able to offer these real sessions and live feedback over the course of the next month. I think that's going to be a real big opportunity for those who want to step into practicing and step into the dojo to figure out how to reduce this invisible cost of clarity
And miscommunication.
and
Absolutely.
miscommunication.
Communication. So also you can get a PDF of the highlights of today's session. All the links will stay here, so please just grab them. And we really do look forward to seeing you next month on the 3rd Thursday of the month. Let's get that in your head, and this we will be serving up part 2 of the financial and communication aspects put together. And then a couple of months from now, I'm going to probably choose a different co-host and maybe do it with the IT professional.
I
You
love
know,
that.
so I think that there's a place for all of this. We'd love your feedback, what kind of topics you'd like to see in the future. And of course, we'd love you to follow us on LinkedIn and get involved with us as you see that it would work for you, or if we can assist you in any way. Thank you, all of you, for showing up. Thank you for my team. Thank you more than I can say, Joseph Wexler, for showing up in the way you did today. I hope you got the value that you were hoping for. Thanks again, and have a great day.